So my name is Yangdup Lama, and my story goes back to 1995 when I finished my hotel management from Calcutta, and then I came and joined in a hotel here in Delhi called the Hyatt Regency. And that is where my first journey into bartending started off, because my first assignment was to work behind bars, as in not really behind bars, but at a bar. And after having worked in that space for about 3 months is when I got to go behind the bar for the first time. And then the journey towards bartending kind of took off from there. So, as a bartender, you always have a dream, so just like every professional has a dream. So I had a dream of owning and running my own bar, and the dream had been there for a really long time, and finally it came true in the year 2012. So we opened Speakeasy, Cocktails and Dreams Speakeasy in December 2012. So the idea was to actually create a product that was so good that people would actually make an effort to come here. So it took us about 6 months to get that cracking. It finally happened, and now we're almost 8 years now, and we are still going strong. A lot of regulars, people really love us a lot for what we are. And of course, the regular issues are always there in terms of, when you open your own bar, it is not just about just drinks and service, it is also about licensing, and that becomes a big issue, especially in this part of the world. So, I've learned that bit as well. Initially, it was a little difficult because it was very new, but over a period of time, I've kind of, experienced it and kind of, I would not say mastered it, but I've figured out the way to, get things done. So that was one of the greatest learnings. Also in terms of consumer understanding, I think over a period of time, you get to know what the consumers really want, and what could take you to the next level in terms of getting repeat customers, and also always being able to be on the top of a game as far as providing the product is concerned. So in order to start as a bartender, today there are a lot of options. So if you are, for example, a class 12th pass, you can choose to be a bartender by joining a bartending institute. So for example, I run one. There are a handful of institutes around Delhi, NCR. There are quite a few in other cities as well. So you could do a certificate course in bartending, which is at times depending upon where you're doing it. And with the institute, it will vary between 3 months to 6 months. So it will give you a certificate to actually go and join a bar as a trainee bartender. But doing a course will not make you a complete bartender. That only gives you a license to work at a bar, in the sense that it opens up that avenue or an opportunity for you to get a job at a bar. Okay, the real learning of bartending happens on the job, and that is always there. So even to people who have certification in bartending from any institute, including mine, we always say that this is just the beginning. So you start off at a bar, and that's where you actually learn bartending. It has to be on the job, because it requires not just knowledge, it also requires a lot of practical exposure, in order to become a bartender. And after having spent about year and a half in a good bar is when you can actually then say that you've become a bartender. So, if you want to continue, if it's a great place for you to work, you can continue working in that place, or else you can then look for opportunities with whatever experience that you have in other bars or hotel bars and stuff like that. The other option is that you skip a bartending school completely or a hotel management college. You can straight away look for an internship at a bar. So for example, in our bar, we run another one in Delhi. Sometimes we do get students who have, either passed out of college or have never been to any of the F&B business or any courses. So they can also come and learn the job straight away, because all that you need is communication skills and your attitude and your passion. So if you're really interested, you don't really need qualification. Qualification does not really matter when it comes to bartending. You could just come learn it on the job, and you could be an amazing bartender without having even any qualifications. It's absolutely possible. And there are quite a few examples of these kind of people who've never actually been to a formal training course, but have straight away joined on the job and become a bartender. Like I did a hotel management course, but I never did a bartending course myself. Whatever I learned was purely on the job. If you join a decent category of bar, which I would rate as A category of bars outside of hotels. Usually, the initial startup pay would vary between 10,000 to 15,000 rupees, plus of course service charge. So your take home should be about 18 to 20. That's the kind of startup salary that one could look at. All right, and of course beyond that, it's absolutely up to you, because nobody can really say how it will then rise in terms of salaries, but it's absolutely based on how you move it, right? So how you learn your job, your experience, and of course a lot also depends upon how you market it. So depending upon who you are and what kind of talent and what skills you kind of develop over a period of time, you could be anybody. You could be a bar consultant. You could consult for other bars, right from menu development to trainings to also setting up the bars. So you can do that. You can become a consultant. You can also, if you're somebody who loves creative writing, loves storytelling, you can also get into beverage journalism. That's a great option at this point in time, because food and beverage is also quite big when it comes to doing some kind of F&B journalism. You can get into that. You can also be a freelance bartender. So people have home parties, people have weddings and corporate parties, so you could get into that as well. So I run a company since 2020 which is all about mobile bartending service, and that's been a great avenue for me, not just in terms of shaping up my career but also in terms of earnings. So there is a great opportunity there as well. I work very closely with the liquor industry as a beverage consultant, and I do a lot of bartender trainings. I also do a lot of consumer engagements for liquor brands. So there is a lot of avenue that opens up as you move forward in this particular field of beverages. And of course there is no restriction, and everything depends upon you, your interest and your passion. I think that's the differentiator. Okay, so the other avenue that is also opening up now, and I've seen a lot of people take that plunge into those avenues, are working very closely with the producers of beverages. For example, there are people who take up distilling as a skill or as a profession. So there are good distilleries across the globe. There are good breweries across the globe that now are open to giving internship programs. I know of a distillery called Glenfiddich, for example, in Scotland, which gives you a 1.5 month or 2 month certification on distilling, blending, which is great. So you come back and then you join a distillery, which is just kind of started to produce whatever spirit, and you become a distiller. So from a beverage background or from a bartending background, you can also become a distiller. You can work with that. You can also join liquor companies as brand advocacy programs. So people now, certain brands of liquor, as in spirits, now have brand ambassadors, trade brand ambassadors, and they represent the brand in terms of brand advocacy. And that is another avenue that is done really well, and it's only going to do well in the near future. And of course, if you do well, then you can get into sales and marketing as well. So it is entirely upon how you enjoy and what you enjoy, right? But everything needs to be driven with tremendous amount of passion. That's the key. Personally speaking, what I really love about what I've been doing in the last 25 years, I love it because I've always loved people, as in the sense I always love to be people's man. So I love great conversations. And on a good day, if I serve a drink to a guest and we get into a conversation, it could last forever, and we turn up becoming friends. So that is one of the things that I enjoy being a bartender. But there are other things as well. So the connect is always great, and you're dealing with a very sensitive product. You're dealing with a product which tells a lot of stories. It speaks about people's cultures. So there is a lot of fun as well. But again, it entirely depends upon what your interest is, your personality, and who you are. That actually depicts the whole definition of what you enjoy in terms of bartending. So when you look at the present times, there is a lot of challenge, because this is the time when if you're already in the business, the idea is to be innovative. You got to reinvent yourself. So that's important. And bartending is again something that will have to be reinvented to a large extent. The whole idea of cocktail making, the way we run bars. But I think this is a very short phase, and the ones who will come out successful on the other side are people who utilize this particular time to upgrade themselves in every sense of it. It's not just about cocktail skills, it's also about general knowledge. If you're somebody who loves sports, if you're somebody who loves reading, if you're somebody who just loves striking conversations or writing, creative writing, you can get into it, engage yourself into all of these things, because what it does is, like I said, bartending is not just about cocktail making, it is about extending an experience to a guest. And a lot of times, through this beautiful conversations that we have with guests, people come to the bar, they talk about sports, they talk about politics, they can just talk about anything under the sky. Music, it's a very important element in a success of a bar. Good music at a good bar makes your drinks experience complete. So if you're into music, try and explore it even more. So whatever you are good at and whatever you love to do beyond just knowing about cocktails and drinks, that could also help you to become a better professional in the near future. So the idea is, at this point in time, it is, of course, let's look at it from a perspective that it's a great opportunity, because otherwise, if we were just normal, then we would probably not have that time to spend in things that we love doing. So, this is the time, and might as well use all of this time to do those things, and that would become, make you more wholesome as a professional. Bartending has also come of age. It's changed over a period of time, and similarly, the consumer psyche is also changed over a period of time, and that is purely because there's been tremendous amount of exposure in both the sides. So bartenders have now been exposed. Learning is not just restricted to what you do at the bar, it is also gone beyond that. So you can actually learn from social media, from the internet, by meeting other bartenders across the globe, across cities. So there has been an upgradation in the area of bartending. At the same time, there has also been an upgradation in the field of area of consumers. So even consumers have come of age. Now what that does is it has also given tremendous amount of recognition. And going forward, I see the next steps in bartending and cocktail making and cocktail experiences in the near future is, it's just like an open blue sky. There is no limitation to it. You could take whichever route with the way things are. I've seen bartenders who might not be great guys behind bars, but they're very wonderful fellows when it comes to social media handling, and that's a skill by itself. So they're really well known in that particular space. So that's an added advantage. Similarly, there are some guys who are not very great in their social media, but they're wonderful people when you meet them one-to-one. So there are advantages and disadvantages, and I think it's always great to work on your drawbacks, and just shape yourself to become better professionals and better human beings.
If you found this video helpful, subscribe to our channel for more career videos every week. Leave your comments on careers you would like to watch, and we will try our best to help you find your stride.